It's a story that's gripped the nation. 4 college students brutally stabbed to death in their off-campus Idaho home.
Highest profile true crime case in the nation.
Miraculously set up, which is like a 1 in a billion chance.
November 13th, 2022.
For weeks, no suspects, no arrests, and no murder weapon.
In a peaceful college town nestled in the heart of Idaho, where the promise of youth and the pursuit of education often define the horizon. On November 13th, the nation was shocked when Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were found stabbed to death in a home near the University of Idaho campus, leaving behind a trail of questions and a cloud of mystery that hung heavy in the crisp mountain air. As investigators delved into the chilling details of the case, the web of intrigue began to unravel, revealing a tapestry of secrets, suspicions, and a suspect who would ultimately be thrust into the unforgiving spotlight of public scrutiny. Join us on this journey into the heart of a compelling and perplexing mystery, where the pursuit of justice intertwines with the complexities of human nature, and where the fate of a community hinges on the answers yet to be uncovered. Welcome to True Crime Capital. This week we look into the puzzling case of the Idaho college student murders. Around 11:58 a.m. on November 13th, a distress call sought assistance for an individual described as unconscious. The call was placed by a student using the cell phone of one of the surviving roommates, and it originated from an off-campus residence in Moscow, Idaho. Upon police arrival, they found the residence's door ajar, with no signs of forced entry or interior damage, and nothing appeared to be stolen. The 2 surviving roommates were inside the residence, along with other friends. The roommates had summoned their friends to the house because they believed one of the individuals on the second floor was unconscious and unresponsive. All 4 victims were officially declared deceased on the scene. The investigators suspect the homicides took place sometime between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. That evening, officers encountered Goncalves' dog, which she shared with her former partner, unharmed and alive at the residence. The students met their tragic fate while asleep inside the house, with some displaying defensive wounds. Among the victims, 2 females, Madison Mogen, 21, and Zana Kernodle, 20, resided at the house, while the third, Kaylee Goncalves, 21, had recently moved out but returned to attend a nearby party. The 4th victim, Ethan Chapin, 20, was Kernodle's boyfriend and had stayed over on the night of the incident. The University of Idaho students lived in a rented off-campus home in the college town of Moscow, Idaho. The 3-story house featured 6 bedrooms, 2 on each floor. The weeks that followed without an arrest gave rise to mounting national publicity, as well as anxiety and speculation about who was responsible. It's worth noting that the city had not witnessed a murder since 2015. The upcoming fall break, slated to commence after November 18th, with classes set to resume on November 28th, prompted numerous students and local Moscow residents to embark on an early Thanksgiving holiday departure due to their lack of confidence in the initial assurances provided by the police. This exodus was driven by concerns for their own safety. Meanwhile, those who remained in the area were marked by a sense of unease and vigilance, resulting in several professors choosing to cancel their classes. Earlier in the evening on November 12th, 2 of the 4 victims, Chapin and Kernodle, attended an on-campus party hosted by the nearby Sigma Chi fraternity, which started at 8 p.m. They returned home at around 1:45 a.m. on the same night. The other 2 victims and best friends, Mogen and Goncalves, visited the Corner Club, a downtown sports bar. At 10 p.m., they left the bar at 1:30 a.m. A live-streamed video on Twitch, captured by the Grub Truck, a food truck located 4 blocks south at Friendship Square, Main and 4th Streets, featured Mogen and Goncalves at 1:41 a.m. They were seen chatting, smiling, receiving their food 10 minutes later, and departing to take an Uber ride home, covering a distance of approximately 1 mile, 1.6 kilometers. They arrived home at 1:56 a.m. All 4 students were back at their residence by 1:56 a.m. During the time frame from 2:26 to 2:52 a.m., Goncalves made 7 unsuccessful phone calls from her phone to her former longtime boyfriend, who was also a fellow student. Mogen also attempted to call Goncalves' former boyfriend 3 times during a similar period, from 2:44 to 2:52 a.m. These calls were scrutinized by the police, who ultimately ruled out the recipient of these missed calls as a suspect in the crime. Kernodle received a DoorDash order around 4 a.m. Dylan Mortensen, one of the surviving students, said she was sleeping on the second floor, the same floor as Kernodle and Chapin, before she was awoken by what sounded like Goncalves and her dog. It was around 4 a.m. on November 13th when she heard what she thought was Goncalves playing with her dog. Shortly thereafter, Mortensen reported hearing what she believed to be Goncalves utter words to the effect of, "There's someone here." Alarmed, she opened her door several times upon hearing cries and a male voice. On her third attempt, she spotted an unfamiliar man with a mask concealing his nose and mouth. He stood at approximately 5 feet 10 inches in height, displaying an athletic build with bushy eyebrows. Mortensen found herself in a state of paralyzing shock as the man walked past her toward a sliding glass door. Subsequently, upon encountering this unknown individual, she swiftly secured herself within her room. Security cameras positioned near the residence recorded sounds of whimpering, a loud thud, and repeated barking from a dog, commencing at approximately 4:17 a.m. Mortensen remained in a state of shock and retreated to the safety of her room. The 4 victims were tragically stabbed to death while in their respective beds on the second and third floors of the house. None of the victims were gagged or physically restrained, and the walls at the crime scene bore evidence of blood spatter. Mogan and Goncalves were discovered in Mogan's bedroom, while Kernodle and Chapin were located in Kernodle's room. It's crucial to note that the crime transpired between approximately 4:15 and 4:30 a.m. However, due to the overwhelming shock and fear she experienced, the surviving student didn't contact the police until 11:58 a.m., more than 7 hours later. Her initial intention was to inquire about the man she had witnessed leaving the residence the previous night, only to discover all her roommates unconscious. The investigation into the stabbings is under the jurisdiction of the Moscow Police Department, with support from the Idaho State Police and the Lata County Sheriff's Office.
Of 4 University of Idaho students were found brutally murdered in their shared off-campus home. Police temporarily expanding the crime scene, blocking off this wooded area and parking lot behind the house.
Every investigator involved will continue to put all of their resources and all of our partner agencies' resources into continuing this investigation.
On November 17th, the Lata County coroner conducted autopsies on the 4 victims, revealing that all of them had suffered multiple stab wounds, including fatal ones in the chest and upper body. The weapon used in these attacks appeared to be a large knife, possibly the same or very similar knives. It was evident that at least one victim had defensive wounds on their hands, suggesting an attempt to fend off the assailant. The victims were assaulted while they were asleep in their beds, and there was no indication of sexual assault. All 4 deaths were officially classified as homicides due to stabbing. The victims were not bound or gagged, and although no weapon had been recovered, law enforcement believed that the killer or killers had employed a fixed-blade knife. Once again, the surviving roommate who encountered the suspect described him as an unfamiliar male, approximately 5 feet 10 inches tall, and possessing an athletic build with bushy eyebrows. On November 19th, the police issued a public request for any video footage captured at the house on the night of the killings. They established a phone tip line and an email submission channel for students and others to provide potential evidence to authorities. As of December 5th, it was reported that over 2,600 email tips, 2,700 phone calls, and 1,000 digital media submissions had been received from the public through these channels. By December 24th, the investigative team had amassed a staggering 15,000 tips pertaining to the case. Initially, the police did not rule out the possibility of multiple perpetrators. They stated that the attack appeared to be targeted, but had not definitively determined whether the residence or its occupants were the intended focus of the assailants. During a press conference held on November 23rd, the Moscow police chief revealed that authorities had received numerous tips, including one suggesting that Goncalves may have had a stalker. However, they were unable to substantiate this claim or identify any such individual at that particular juncture. Following the receipt of hundreds of tips from the public, on December 15th, the police announced their intention to scrutinize records related to approximately 22,000 fifth-generation Hyundai Elantras, produced between 2011 and 2013. A surveillance camera in the vicinity had captured footage of an Elantra around the time of the murders, with investigators noting that it had traveled the same route near the residence on multiple occasions. On November 25th, a Washington State University WSU officer conducted a search of the school's database and discovered that Kohberger had registered at a student apartment complex in Pullman on November 29th at 12:28 a.m. In less than 30 minutes, another WSU officer located Kohberger's car in the parking lot of the building while actively searching for white Hyundai Elantras. Upon further investigation, authorities determined that the vehicle belonged to a local individual named Bryan Kohberger, who had driven it, along with his father, to the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania for the holidays. During their journey, Kohberger was pulled over twice by the Indiana State Police on Interstate 70 outside Greenfield, Indiana, for infractions such as speeding and tailgating. The FBI refuted claims that they had orchestrated these stops. In addition, investigators obtained cell phone data indicating that Kohberger's phone ceased connecting to the network around 2:47 a.m. in Pullman on November 13th, only to reconnect approximately 2 hours later near Blaine, Idaho, close to US Highway 95 south of Moscow. Further data analysis revealed that Kohberger's phone had pinged from the cell phone tower nearest to the victim's residence on at least 12 occasions between June 2022 and November 13th. Additionally, cell phone records indicated that his phone utilized a cell tower near the victim's residence around 9 a.m. on November 13th, approximately 5 hours after the homicides occurred. The vehicle was observed passing by the victim's residence 3 times, commencing at 3:29 a.m. Its fourth pass by the home took place at 4:04 a.m., and it was subsequently seen departing the neighborhood at a high rate of speed at 4:20 a.m. Furthermore, the police came across DNA evidence at the crime scene that did not match any of the victims. This DNA was discovered on a tan leather knife sheath, bearing the inscriptions Kabar and USMC, accompanied by the U.S. Marine Corps insignia stamp. The sheath was found on a bed in the home adjacent to Mogan's body during the processing of the crime scene on November 13th.
The DNA of 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger was found on a leather knife sheath recovered from the scene where the 4 University of Idaho students were murdered. That's according to court documents unsealed today. Investigators say it matched a sample taken from the trash at the suspect's parents' home in Pennsylvania.
Investigators conducted surveillance on Kohberger near his parents' residence in Pennsylvania. On multiple occasions, he was observed wearing surgical gloves and was seen placing trash bags into a neighbor's garbage can. These items were subsequently sent to the Idaho State Lab for testing. Examinations revealed that the button snap of the knife sheath contained a single source of male DNA. Leveraging a public genealogy database, law enforcement managed to identify a partial match to an individual with a familial connection to Kohberger. This is because, on December 27th, police recovered trash from Kohberger's parents' home in Pennsylvania, and the DNA from the knife sheath exhibited a correlation with the DNA profile obtained from the trash. Kohberger had meticulously cleaned both the interior and exterior of his car, leaving no surface untouched. Furthermore, a search of the residence where Kohberger was apprehended unveiled a knife, a firearm, and a black face mask, along with identification cards located within a glove inside a box. 6 weeks after the murders, at the time of his arrest, authorities found Kohberger in the kitchen, dressed in a shirt and shorts, wearing examination gloves, and depositing trash into separate Ziploc bags. During a press conference on December 30th, the police revealed that the weapon employed in the attack, believed to be a fixed-blade knife, had yet to be located. So, who is Kohberger? Bryan Kohberger, born on November 21, 1994, is the son of Michael and Marion. He has 2 sisters. He attended Pleasant Valley High School in Broadheadsville, Pennsylvania, and graduated in 2013. Notably, photos from his high school yearbooks illustrate a significant physical transformation from his sophomore to senior years, and it's reported that he aspired to become an Army Ranger. Previously, Kohberger worked as a casual security officer in the Pleasant Valley School District, a role he held as recently as August 2021. Before that, he obtained an associate's degree in psychology from Northampton Community College, followed by the completion of a bachelor's degree at DeSales University in 2020. He furthered his education with graduate studies at the same university, finishing them in 2022. Described as an awkward and unassuming individual, Kohberger is often characterized as a regular Joe, with an unsettlingly intense gaze. During his time at DeSales University, he studied under renowned forensic psychologist Katherine Ramsland, who conducted interviews with the notorious BTK serial killer and co-authored the book Confession of a Serial Killer, the untold story of Dennis Rader, the BTK killer with him. Kohberger also conducted research focusing on understanding the influence of emotions and psychological traits on decision-making in the context of criminal behavior. At the time of his arrest, Kohberger was pursuing a PhD in criminology and served as a teaching assistant at Washington State University's Pullman campus, which is in close proximity to Moscow, Idaho, approximately a 15-minute drive away. Kohberger had recently completed his first semester at WSU. He has established roots in the state of Pennsylvania dating back to at least 2013, when public records indicate he registered as a libertarian in Albrightsville. Notably, he had no prior criminal record. His older sister, Melissa Kohberger, worked as a school counselor, and another sister named Amanda pursued a career as an actress. Unfortunately, both sisters reportedly lost their jobs due to their association with their brother after his arrest. In January, the family released a statement affirming their unwavering support for him, expressing, "We will love and support our son and brother." Following Kohberger's arrest, online investigators uncovered a Reddit post in which he had apparently sought volunteers for a graduate research project centered on understanding the impact of emotions and psychological traits on decision-making during the commission of a crime. DeSales University confirmed that the email address linked to the post belonged to Kohberger during his tenure as a student there. In mid-December, Bryan Kohberger embarked on a cross-country journey with his father from their student rental home in Pullman, Washington, back to their family residence in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, to spend the holidays together. During his time at home, family members noticed that his behavior had become somewhat eccentric. They observed that Bryan constantly wore latex gloves, even within their own home. At the time of his arrest on December 30th, the police arrived at the Kohberger's residence around 3 a.m., and both his parents and the suspect displayed a high level of cooperation. Bryan Christopher Kohberger was subsequently apprehended and charged with the murders of all 4 students on December 30th. He was later extradited to Idaho, where formal charges were filed on January 5th. Kohberger applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department, expressing in his application essay a keen interest in aiding law enforcement in the more efficient collection and analysis of technological data for public safety operations. On December 31st, a statement was issued on the Washington State University Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology's website regarding one of its graduate students, stating, "The Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology at Washington State University is deeply saddened by the alleged heinous acts committed by one of its graduate students. We find solace in knowing that justice will prevail. Our hearts go out to the families of the victims." A neighbor of Kohberger's in Pullman, Washington, disclosed that he had spoken with him about the murders a few days after they occurred. According to the neighbor, Kohberger initiated the conversation, inquiring if he had heard about the homicides and remarking, "Yeah, seems like they have no leads. Seems like it was a crime of passion."
He was like, "Oh, did you hear about these murders that happened?" And it was like so short after they actually happened, like there was barely any news articles out. So there wasn't much that I could have like read. So I was like, "Yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah, of course I've heard about him." And he was like, "Yeah, it seems like they don't have any leads." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, there's not much about it, you know, there's nothing, I have no details really to say." But yeah, and then he's like, "Yeah, it seems like they think it was a crime of passion."
The neighbor explained that, at the time of their discussion, it had only been a few days since the incidents, and limited details were available. A fellow graduate student in the Criminology and Criminal Justice Department at WSU, Ben Roberts, expressed his surprise at Kohberger's arrest, describing it as pretty out of left field. Roberts revealed that he and Kohberger had commenced the program together in August and had taken several courses together. Kohberger was noted for consistently seeking ways to fit in, often opting for complex explanations and ensuring others were aware of his knowledge. According to Roberts, Kohberger had a habit of conveying information in a convoluted manner, seemingly to assert his understanding of the subject matter. Kohberger was described as very calm and highly intelligent by Labar, his attorney, who further noted that he had a long-standing habit of going on solitary drives, often at night. Kohberger went for such a drive late on November 12th and into November 13th, 2022, as stated by his attorney. The defense intends to provide corroborating evidence to establish that Kohberger was not present at the crime scene through cross-examination of the state's witnesses and the testimony of defense experts during the trial. Kohberger's parents expressed their shock at the situation, emphasizing that this behavior was out of character for their son. On January 1st, they, along with his two sisters, conveyed their prayers and support for the victims' families, and stated that they had fully cooperated with law enforcement agencies throughout the investigation. In the first place, we want to express our profound sympathy for the four families who have tragically lost their beloved children, stated Kohberger's family in their message. Words cannot adequately convey the depth of our sorrow, and we offer our daily prayers for them. Kohberger is currently facing 4 counts of first-degree murder and an additional charge of felony burglary. He is being detained without the option of posting bail. In an appearance before an Idaho court on January 12th, he chose to waive his right to a prompt preliminary hearing, with his defense team requesting additional time to prepare for the case. During his arraignment on May 22nd, when the judge inquired about his plea, Kohberger remained silent, prompting the judge to enter not guilty pleas on his behalf. On June 26th, prosecutors announced their intention to pursue the death penalty. His demeanor is quite composed. He exhibits a strong awareness of the proceedings, noted Labar, his attorney. I have discussed with him what to anticipate during his transportation and his subsequent appearance before a magistrate or judge in Idaho. Labar further conveyed that Kohberger vehemently denies any involvement in the murders and maintains his belief that he will be vindicated. This is somewhat unusual for him, Labar remarked. It's not consistent with his character. He firmly believes in his eventual exoneration. Those were his words. He has been remarkably cooperative and maintains a calm disposition throughout our conversations. Where does the investigation stand? Well, Kohberger is currently incarcerated in Latah County, Idaho, where he is being held without the option of bail following his extradition from Pennsylvania. While some information has been disclosed through the probable cause affidavit and related documents regarding the investigation and Kohberger's arrest, investigators have conveyed their intention to limit the release of extensive details to prevent potential issues during the trial. Additional information has surfaced regarding the initial search conducted in his apartment and a rented storage unit. Court documents indicate that 2 items discovered within his apartment yielded positive results for the presence of blood. These items included a mattress cover on the bed and an uncased pillow, both exhibiting visible reddish-brown stains. The identity of the individual to whom the blood belongs has not yet been disclosed in the documents. Alongside these findings, investigators confiscated various items from his residence, which encompassed potential samples of human and animal hair, a disposable glove, and a computer. Investigators sought to confirm the presence of dog hair, as one of the victims had a dog present at the crime scene, and these samples were part of the collected evidence. Mr. Kohberger has not provided a specific alibi pinpointing his whereabouts at precise moments during the late night of November 12th, 2022, and the early morning of November 13th, 2022. It is noted that he was driving during these late night and early morning hours. The police chief acknowledged the significance of some of the 19,000 tips received by the police, emphasizing their role in the apprehension of Kohberger. At this juncture, it remains uncertain whether any potential links exist between the victims and Kohberger, and the motive behind the homicides remains shrouded in mystery. The police chief further expressed, "These tragic murders have deeply affected our community, and no arrest can ever restore the lives of these young students. Nonetheless, we hold faith in the pursuit of justice through legal proceedings. A prior ruling from the judge stipulated that Kohberger's defense team must submit witnesses and other evidence by September 8th if they intend to present an alibi as part of their defense strategy. Prosecutors have contended that Kohberger is obligated to furnish precise details regarding his whereabouts on the night of the killings and any corroborating witnesses who can vouch for his claim that he was driving alone during that fateful evening. No trial date has been set when concluding this video. Allow me to pay tribute to the 4 victims in this case. Kaylee Goncalves, the 3rd child of Steve and Christy Goncalves, possessed a spirited and unique personality. From birth, she sported a head of thick black curls, an adorable button nose, and a flawlessly round porcelain face that bore a small scar on her forehead. A mystery, even to medical professionals. In jest, her siblings often teased her, joking that it was where her horns had attempted to sprout. Kaylee, at the age of 21, was on the cusp of graduating early from college and had secured a job with an IT firm in Austin, Texas. She had recently acquired a new Range Rover and enthusiastically shared her plan with her parents to return to Moscow, Idaho, to show it to Maddie and join in a nearby party. Her bond with Maddie had been forged in the 6th grade, blossoming into an inseparable friendship. Living together, they became true ultimate best friends. Steve and Christy Goncalves take solace in the belief that their daughter may have played a role in resolving her own tragic fate by wresting the knife sheath ultimately linked to Kohberger and the killings. Kaylee was a remarkable individual, strong, just, resilient, dedicated, and exquisitely beautiful. She was a beacon of love. As she entered this world, Kaylee was surrounded by the warmth of family and love, and she departed it in the same manner, with her chosen sister Maddie Mogan steadfastly by her side. Madison Mogan, born on May 25, 2001, Madison, May. Mogan's life has been a continuous blessing to her family and everyone fortunate enough to be in her presence. During her initial 2 years, Maddie resided in Oregon before relocating with her family to the North Idaho region, where her parents had roots. Describing Maddie as universally loved is an understatement. She possessed a unique talent for bringing smiles and laughter to others through her unconventional and delightful sense of humor. Those who knew her were well aware that ensuring Maddie never went hungry was paramount. Maddie was equally renowned for her unwavering commitment to her future. She demonstrated excellence in her academic pursuits and excelled in every job she held during high school and college. This dedication garnered her a vast network of friends, colleagues, supervisors, and educators who would gladly provide glowing references and attest to her exceptional qualities, work ethic, and compassion. The University of Idaho held great excitement for Maddie, despite being a bit farther from home. During her time there, she consistently earned a place on the dean's list each semester. She joined Pi Beta Phi and formed deep bonds with her closest friends. Throughout this journey, her sister Kaylee remained nearby, and she shared her life with Jake, the love of her life. Maddie's family will forever envision her amidst pink, sparkling, petite, and adorable things, as that's precisely how they will remember her. Zana Kernodle, born at Kootenai Health Hospital in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, on July 5, 2002, grew up in Post Falls. She displayed early talent as a gymnast during her childhood. Her educational journey led her to Post Falls Middle and High School, where she actively participated in volleyball, track, and soccer until her graduation in 2020. Throughout her high school years, she also dedicated her time to employment at Texas Roadhouse. Following her high school journey, she enrolled at the University of Idaho, majoring in marketing. Zana was an enthusiastic member of the Pi Beta Phi sorority and contributed to the Vandal Solutions sales team. Her commitment extended to her part-time position at Mad Greek Restaurant in Moscow, Idaho. Zana had a deep affection for her beloved dog, Shoeshine, and relished EDM music, attending concerts, and cherishing moments with friends. She delighted in family trips with her sister and father and held cherished memories of spending time on her grandma and grandpa's farm and summers by the river. Her unwavering determination to embrace life to its fullest and her infectious sense of humor left an indelible mark on all who had the privilege of knowing her. Zana was embarking on a journey to become the remarkable woman she was destined to be, and her absence leaves a void in the world. Ethan Chapin, the eldest among the triplets, made his entrance into the world at 4:43 p.m. on a splendid Tuesday evening in October at Swedish Hospital in Seattle. Following closely behind, Maisie arrived at 4:44, and Hunter followed at 4:45. The family initially resided in Olympia near Summit Lake for the first year and a half of the triplets' lives before relocating to Conway. The children attended Conway School, receiving an excellent education while also participating in soccer, basketball, and cross-country. A cherished memory for Ethan was sharing the basketball court with his brother at Conway, proudly donning jersey number 30. Ethan leaves behind his father, Jim, his mother, Stacy, and his surviving siblings, Maisie and Hunter. In August of 2021, the family embarked on a journey to the University of Idaho to drop off all 3 kids for college. Both Ethan and Hunter became members of the Sigma Chi fraternity, while Maisie joined the Kappa Alpha Theta sorority. Ethan embraced his time at the University of Idaho to the fullest. He relished the social aspects, engaged in intramural sports, and managed his academic commitments. Sports remained a significant part of his life, and when he wasn't on the golf course or working, you'd often find him surfing, enjoying sand volleyball or playing pickleball. Ethan had an unwavering love for life. Laughter was a constant companion, and his days began and ended with a warm smile. His kindness extended to all, and he was a true friend to everyone he met. Let us all strive to make the world a better place, living each day with the same zest for life that Ethan embodied. Our heartfelt condolences extend to the families of these young, vibrant individuals whose promising lives were tragically cut short, just as they were on the cusp of embarking on their adult journeys. We invite you to share your perspective in the comments regarding whether you believe the presented evidence thus far will suffice to secure a verdict in this case. Do you believe Bryan Christopher Kohberger is culpable for this crime? Please feel free to express your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, thank you for watching TCC. Stay safe out there.